Hello, I'm Kelly Ryan and I'm CEO of Incourage, our community foundation here serving Southwood County. In our 20th year as an entity serving Southwood County, I want to talk today a little bit about innovation. Innovation began with our very creation, and it began with the vision of Virginia Brazo and the Richard Brazo Family Foundation. From inception, Virginia's vision was that philanthropy, the contribution of time, talent, resources, was for everyone. It was not just for the rich. Virginia saw the long-term value to this community of having a permanent entity whose end goal and primary purpose was to meet the changing needs of the community. Virginia's vision and the investments made really had us well positioned after the sale of Consolidated Papers to reach out to the community and ask, what is it that we can do to best serve the community's needs? And the community told us, we want you to create jobs. Clearly, in 2001, we didn't understand or even have job creation on our radar. But in short order, and with the support of two other visionary philanthropist couples who built on and invested in Virginia's vision, Gilbert and J. Lee Mead and Ruth and Hartley Barker. And both of them were original descendants of the Mead family that started Consolidated Papers. The foresight and vision of Virginia, the further investment in enhancing that vision and the ability to take a long-term view by the Barkers and the Meads have enabled us to leverage partnerships from across the nation. And oftentimes it's the combination of intellectual capital, new thinking, that we need to help think about what does a new economy look like, what is our potential, what are our opportunities, things that we may not have seen. We need a new perspective and thinking from the outside to help us sometimes think differently. We are an innovative community. We have the seeds of innovation here clearly demonstrated by taking advantage of opportunity as it's presented to us. It was our good fortune that Virginia Brazo had the foresight to invest in and think about what could an entity like a community foundation do and become in Southwood County. And I have to say, we have done and become so much more than a very traditional grant-making institution. We have become a community development organization that is squarely focused on helping this community shape a new economy.
Welcome to
Are You In? A show by your Incourage Community Foundation.
It recognizes and celebrates the many good things happening in our community.
And it highlights the courageous work being done by our friends and neighbors.
We've got a lot happening on today's show.
As Incourage celebrates its 20-year anniversary, that's right, 2 decades, Carol, we've got a lot to be thankful for.
We do, and we'll hear from 2 board members on our past accomplishments and dreams for our community's future.
We'll learn about a partnership between Mid-State Technical College, Incourage, and local high schools, helping bring solar power to area schools.
And you'll see how a What If grant united neighbors and community members to restore a rundown ball field and restore neighborhood pride.
We're hearing a lot about making sure students are well-versed in science, technology, engineering, and math.
We'll see how schools are doing this with younger students.
Today we're on location at a local nonprofit.
It's part of a monthly segment we call
Where Are We in Southwood
County?
We're not giving away where we are.
We'll give you a few hints, but you'll have to guess and stay tuned.
Here's hint number 1. It's an organization near and dear to our hearts.
That's right. Hint number 2. This organization celebrates its 20-year anniversary this year.
Final hint, that would be 3. We encourage you to learn more about this organization.
We'll reveal where we are later, so stay tuned.
What If grants are for resident-led projects that bring other people together to move a good idea to action.
This month we highlight a project that's going on in Wisconsin Rapids, Ward 1.
Ward 1 resident Kathy Rash used a What If grant to restore the 10th Avenue playground, which had become overgrown and run down.
Kathy and her alderman Chad Worrell brought together neighbors and community members to create a family-friendly space in their neighborhood.
Let's find out more.
The Ward 1 neighborhood ball diamond project kind of got started through our neighborhood cleanup and our neighborhood watch programs.
We discovered this playground that was really in disarray and disrepair.
The backstop was falling down and rusty pipes and the chain link fence was broke.
And we said, besides cleaning up, what can we do to make a difference and repair this playground so children can use it safely?
Wisconsin Rapids Ward 1 neighborhood group is all about action. Cleaning up a rundown playground not only created a safe place for children, it united residents in a common cause.
The day we started it, as soon as they saw all the commotion, we had a dozen cars stop and different neighbors walk over and find out what we were doing and what all the commotion was. And we had parents actually bring their kids down with gloves and rakes, and they wanted to help out.
In one afternoon, we accomplished taking trees down, hauling them away, trimming the weeds, and it was just unbelievable.
We didn't just have volunteers from Ward 1. We've had people come from Saratoga and the east side and all different parts of the city.
Tom is a member of the church in the area like that. And then Gary also got involved with the same thing that I did when we got in the cleanup. I don't live on this side, and I'm not a member of the church or nothing else, but when I seen what could be done and the interest that everybody else had into it, like the two gentlemen standing alongside of me and everybody else, I thought it was a great thing to do.
This What If grant is a great example of how residents have come together to help restore a safe, fun place to play and improve a neighborhood.
In my wildest dreams, the What If grant could help me accomplish just beautifying our city and reducing crime. We just want to make a difference by making our community just sparkle, and then people are not wanting to be invited to do drug traffic or crime.
Other neighbors and citizens throughout the city have had wonderful compliments on our success, and I know they want to talk to their aldermen and maybe start different projects and different cleanup in their districts or wards.
I think this is a great thing for this side of town, and I think that the rest of the wards should get involved and do their own thing and ask for the help. It's easy to do. When you present a project like this and you tell them that it's for the children and for the community, people really step up, and I just want to thank everybody that was involved, the businesses, the volunteers, and St. Lawrence Church and Incourage.
Last year, Constellation Energy awarded a $45,000 grant.
That's great! The grant provides renewable energy curriculum and continuing education for area high school teachers.
Thanks to a partnership with Mid-State Technical College's Renewable Energy Program, students at Assumption, Lincoln, Port Edwards, and Nakusa helped install solar panels for hands-on learning.
That is so cool. And they'll continue learning now as they monitor the solar panels' energy production.
This is due in part to Incourage's Business Education Partnership.
That's right, this partnership links businesses and educational systems to create better understanding and more opportunities between our schools and businesses. Let's find out more.
The goal here is to give the Assumption High School students the opportunity to have some hands-on experience installing the solar panels on their own school. It gives them a sense of ownership and a sense of pride. Mid-State, partnering with the Incourage Foundation, had the opportunity to get this Constellation Energy grant. First, it provided us the resources and the capitals to buy some collectors and to buy these PV systems and to mount them on 4 local high schools: Assumption, Nakusa, Lincoln, and John Edwards and Port Edwards. The grant also has a second component, and that's education. Mid-State instructors have been coming into the classrooms here and giving some additional lessons on both solar electric systems, but also solar water heating systems and wind and efficiency as well.
Today they are actually installing the tracks and the solar panels, and we will be up and running to create some electricity.
We selected a rack that would be dynamic, that would be interactive. So this rack has trusses underneath that are adjustable in angle, and so students will be able to see how it performs when they're at a shallow angle or when we raise them up a little bit steeper. They'll be able to see the production of each individual panel itself. So they'll see that when you shade one of them, you'll see the production goes down.
Constellation Energy's grant created collaboration between high schools, Midstate, and Incourage, providing numerous learning opportunities for students.
They've learned so much. It's not just about renewable energy. They get to visit Midstate to see what their programs are. They get to see just exactly how diverse renewable energy is. It's not just the solar panels, but there's so many other things. And then a chance to do hands-on, pouring the concrete and making the forms. Now they're getting a chance to put in the frames, the braces, and now they're installing the panels themselves.
We are learning about how the process of the sun turns into energy and how the whole process works of going through the solar panels and then into the heating system.
I think they said that'll sustain for 20 years. It'll make energy. I don't know how much it makes, but it makes enough to probably put the lights on.
Before this class, I didn't care at all about solar panels, and now it's oh, I hope I get solar panels on my house, and so it's awesome.
Now, an additional Constellation grant will support future collaboration, creating learning opportunities for generations to come while impacting today's students.
This is important because it leaves a lasting impact on the schools. Here we have something that we can leave behind, that's kind of this symbol, and they can future generations and future students are going to be able to interact.
I like learning how it works and how things can be improved at our school, and I like to have the opportunity, since it's my last year, to improve Assumption.
These days, many jobs are going unfilled because workers don't have skill sets needed in science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM.
It's so important to instill these skills in students at a young age.
It is. Incourage works with a local business education partnership to focus on more ways to bring STEM into classrooms throughout the region.
Here's one example of an important step Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools are taking toward building a needed skill set in our next generation of workers.
Let's take a look at a new STEM effort. Engineering is elementary.
There is a shortage of workers in STEM-related careers, STEM being short for science, technology, engineering, and math, particularly in the engineering field. And it's been identified over the last several years. It's become a very large push across the nation. This is not just in Wisconsin Rapids. There is still jobs in the STEM area that are here, and they're looking elsewhere for people. Let's make sure we're raising these kids here, that have these abilities to do those jobs here.
We've got to get our kids ready for, not only science but mathematics, ready for the changing times in our society. We know there's a little bit of a lack in, getting our kids to the different businesses and industries, and we want to get them to start thinking creatively, working cooperatively with each other, just better communication, problem solving, things like that.
To help build this needed skill set, Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools recently introduced Engineering is Elementary, a program from the Boston Science Museum for our next generation of workers.
We're adopting the curriculum called the Engineering is Elementary curriculum. That whole idea of engineering as a process really gets driven home by this. They're going to get the same process, kindergarten through 5th grade, the idea of asking questions, imagining solutions, planning out your solutions, creating your solution, testing your solution, redesigning and reevaluating and improving that solution. They got reading, they've got hands-on manipulation, they've got thought process, they got the big 21st century skills, or the 4 C's I like to call them, which are those soft skills of critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and caring. To bring this in just provides, yet one more avenue for a child to look at and say, hey, this is pretty cool. I might be interested in this.
The local business education partnership focuses on making greater connections between local schools and businesses to build STEM skills.
The Business Education Committee is much broader than just WRPS. It's really bringing us all to the table and having us look at where could we find fits within the community and provide teachers with resources and contact info so that they can make contact with these businesses and set up some type of partnership, be it a field trip, be it an expert coming into the classroom.
This new approach will benefit both students and businesses for years to come.
I think it's going to benefit the students. It's getting more hands-on, different little bit subject, more in-depth, just higher level thinking and cooperative learning within groups.
It really brings in so many different facets of a child's learning that all kids could excel in it, because there will be at least one piece that they really glean onto and really, really enjoy about it.
Earlier in the show, Kelly Ryan talked about Incourage's start as a community foundation and how we're working toward our vision of a community that works well for all people.
A key part of realizing our vision is our board of directors.
Incourage board members provide guidance, leadership, and when needed, courage.
This month we spoke with one of Incourage's long-standing board members, Helen Youngworth, and one of our newest board members, Christopher Gash.
It was in the fall of 2007 that we held a 2-day retreat, and we really began to focus on values, and we realized at the end of those 2 days that we really were an organization that was devoted to social change, that we could indeed have an impact in the community, but in order to do that we really had to recognize and name our values. And that was a groundbreaking retreat that we had.
I was born here, raised here. I went away for school but came back, and you know, what really struck me was the values-based approach. So Incourage's values of equity, inclusion, and opportunity really resonate with me. I mean, we can't build a community that works well for all people without equity. You know, we can't shape a community that residents want without inclusion, and I don't think that we can grow as a neighborhood or a community or a business or even an idea without opportunities to kind of take a risk and make that happen.
Well, 2 years ago when the board approved moving forward with the purchase of the Tribune building, I'm not sure we were quite sure what the building would end up being. However, we were very sure that it was going to be an opportunity for our community to become engaged in the future of that downtown area. And so that process is more important than the actual physical building at this point, because as we all know, we've had over 700 residents coming to the meetings over the last year and 2 or 3 months. Over 4,000 hours have been spent. And when you look out every time you go to one of those Tribune meetings, there's new faces, but there's also people who have been there since the very first one.
What brings the community together is always going to change. And it's up to us to make sure that residents always feel like they have a voice in what's important to this community, and that they always feel like they have ownership in what's going on here, because we all do have that ownership, and it's up to us. And I think of downtown as just one example. You know, it's one thing to hear and say what so many of us have said over the last however many years. You know, we have this beautiful city and this lovely river that runs through the middle of it, and it's just a really great place to, you know, call home, and we just really like Wisconsin Rapids a lot. But it's another to physically see people on the ground, downtown, creating change, you know, planning and planting and you know, really starting to build the area that they want, and creating a vision for that, like, physical heart of the community down there. The work that we've been doing with resident engagement, you know, and just involving community members in more than just grant making is so far ahead, and it's just really helping to create that dynamic shift here in central Wisconsin.
When you have people who care about their community or care about a specific slice, you know, you look at some of the projects that have been done when you look over at Grove School and the special needs playground, and how many people came together to build that playground, or across the river with Ward 1, if you will, and the work that's being done. That's human capital. And so I think as we move forward, we have to think of all of these different pieces of capital and connect them together. Financial, reputation, human, and quite honestly, knowledge. Now more than ever, we need to connect with the humans in our circles. And one of the biggest circles is not only your family, but your neighborhood, and then spread it out to where you work, where your children go to school, and your city, or your village, or your county for that matter, connecting the capitals that you possess. And I really think that the foundation is poised to do that. We're already beginning, to build that model that will help us move forward as a community developer.
His comments were at the opening plenary, and I kept looking over at Kelly and nodding my head going, yes, 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 this is exactly it. The path that he was laying out, I think, is really the path that we're on here.
I want now to shift gears and say a word about the need to reimagine the second century model of the Community Foundation as not simply a grant maker, but a social enterprise that strategically deploys not just its financial capital, but its social, moral, intellectual, and reputational capital as well.
When I first started going to a lot of national convenings of community foundations and private foundations, I would sit in sessions where we would be talking about investment, and of course that's a very important part of what we do. And I would hear people say, I don't know how I can ever go back to my board and talk them into doing some kind of socially impactful work, because all they're concerned about is that return on the investments of the donors. And one evening I had just been to so many sessions, and we were in a room with the Ford Foundation, a lot of the grantees of the Ford Foundation, and they were all talking about investment, and I finally got up and said, everybody talks about the return on investment, but what about the return on impact? What is that money doing? How are we impacting the communities we live in? And I think people for the first time kind of stopped and thought, you're right, because we can sit and think about, aren't we great? Look at all the money we've made on interest on our investments. But I would rather say, look at what we found. Look at the people in this community. Look at the 700 people who have been attending the Tribune Building meetings. To me, that is far more important than that return on investment, because that is what we're here for.
I would say what gives me hope about our community is knowing what we've been through and knowing that we're, in a lot of ways, building the plane as we fly it. I think seeing the positive shift in what realistically is a short amount of time is really encouraging. I mean, I think about the history of Wisconsin Rapids and the innovation that had happened here over well over 100 years. I mean, it took guts to make a city here. It took guts to build industry here. And even though it's been a long 14, 15 years since we really started to feel the effects of a changing temperature here in the community, 15 years really isn't all that long. And we've come a remarkable way in a short amount of time. And I think that there's a whole new demographic of people that feel like they're a part of something more than a house behind the sign that says Wisconsin Rapids. That there's more here than just buildings and a job, but it really is starting to feel like a community coming together.
Okay, we're back, and it's time to find out,
where are we in Southwood County? Rick, did you ever get the feeling that you've been someplace before?
Yeah, I sure have, like right now.
That's because we're at Incourage.
Oh, cool. I thought it looked familiar.
I would hope so. You work here.
Most of the time. And I'm proud of it.
Me too. So let's tell folks more about this great organization we work for, because Incourage is their community foundation too.
That's right, I got plenty of room in my office.
Incourage Community Foundation is located at 478 East Grand Avenue in Wisconsin Rapids. In 1994, visionary philanthropist Virginia Brazo invested in Southwood County area by establishing Incourage Community Foundation.
So that you or I could start or contribute to a fund that supports a cause or a community effort that we believe in, like the Tribune Building Project.
Or the 4th of July fireworks.
Or workforce skills training, and so many more.
After Consolidated Papers sold in 2000, Ruth and Hartley Barker and Gilbert and J. Lee Mead expanded on Virginia's vision by giving significant contributions that supported staff and operating expenses.
They also bought this building, created matching gift opportunities for local nonprofits, and supported the Community Progress Initiative.
The Community Progress Initiative brought residents together to answer the question, what's your vision for the future? Because all residents have a voice and must be engaged in making decisions about their community.
Resident engagement is a culture change that's paved the way for Incourage's work today. Our Workforce Central project, our Vital Signs work, and our Tribune Building project all happened through the initial work done in the Community Progress Initiative, creating collaboration and partnerships, resident engagement, and building trust in each other.
It hasn't happened overnight. It's taken over a decade, but these efforts are moving residents from me to we, helping reach Incourage's vision of a community that works well for all people.
If you want to learn more about Incourage, stop on in. We're very friendly here.
We've got information about what we do, our programs, starting a fund, and how you can help your community thrive, because it's a great place to live.
When you love your community and you give to make a change for you and me, when it's your time, or your money, it's philanthropy.
On a serious note, Incourage is on a journey towards being 100% mission driven.
Our vision is a community that works well for all,
guided by the values of equity, opportunity, and inclusion.
And we are a data-driven organization.
In our 20 years of existence, we have distributed over $40 million in scholarships, grants, and programs, including community awareness projects like this show, Are You In?
Over 700 people have engaged in the Tribune Building Project.
We've supported training and skill enhancement of over 500 area people.
But we don't know how effective our TV show, Are You In, is. How many people are we reaching and informing?
So as we prioritize all of our efforts, we're going to let you weigh in. Should Are You In continue, or should the show be canceled?
Let us know by calling our office at 715-423-3863.
As the song goes, we're leaving it all up to you.
We're all about resident engagement, but we need to know if we're effective.
And no matter what happens, we appreciate our viewers and thank you for watching us in this show over the last 3 seasons.
We've enjoyed spreading the good work of Incourage and our community.
Hey, and we got some really cool shirts out of this too.
Woo! So let us know. Well, that's it for today's show. As you've seen, as Incourage celebrates 20 years, there is much to give thanks for.
And speaking of thanks, a huge thanks to River Cities Community Access for hosting us, and to you, our viewers, for watching.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Are You In?